But the situation that is put before y'all is not how it went down.
He just called his own father a liar on his own podcast to his own audience.
Mom didn't want to leave. She was quote unquote, damn near forced to leave. I helped her leave. I'm glad she left.
Forced. That's the word Lonzo Ball used. Not she grew apart from him. Not they wanted different things. Forced.
Did not leave him because he lost his foot.
So even though she had the stroke and getting older.
3 sentences. And in those 3 sentences, Lonzo Ball just contradicted the story his own father told the entire internet. But here's what nobody is connecting. This didn't start with Lonzo. It started with Lavar. Because before any of this went public, before any podcast clapback, Lavar Ball sat down with streamer Neon, just talking, just vibing, giving out relationship advice like he always does. And he dropped something almost as an afterthought, something that should have been the biggest headline of his career, and instead it slipped out like small talk.
Tina decided to go her own way. That's why you don't see it right here. But she want to go do something else, that's fine with me. We had our run.
That's it. That's how the world found out that after 30 years, Lavar and Tina Ball were done, divorced, filed, 2 years separated, according to what he said in that same conversation. And he delivered it with the same tone he uses to talk about training camp. Now, here's why that tone matters. Because Lavar didn't just announce a divorce, he framed it. And once you understand how he framed it, everything Lonzo said later starts to look less like a random tangent and more like damage control. Watch what Lavar does here.
So even though she had the stroke and getting older, she would never be like, oh man, she was always beautiful in my eyes until you say, I want to go do something else. Yeah. Now you're not as beautiful to me.
Read between the lines. He's saying, I stayed beautiful to her the whole time. It was her decision to stop seeing me the same way. He's not saying we grew apart. He's saying she changed how she felt about me. And only after that did I change how I felt about her. That's not neutral storytelling. That's a defense. That's a man building a case for the jury of public opinion before anyone even asked him to. And the timeline he's defending himself against is brutal because Tina didn't just have a rough patch, she had a stroke.
I know how to rehab with Tina. It's not the soft stuff that people have been doing with her. She's an athlete. She needs rehab, which is a little more intense.
So here's the actual sequence, laid out plainly. Tina suffers a stroke. Lavar personally runs her rehab, pushes her, gets her back on her feet. Then Lavar loses his foot to diabetes complications. Then, after all of that, after this couple survived a stroke and an amputation together, Tina files for divorce. That's the story Lavar told, and on the surface, it makes him look like the guy who did everything right and still got left, which is exactly why what Lonzo said next detonated the way it did, because Lonzo didn't come out and just say, I support my mom. That would have been simple, predictable, forgettable. Instead, Lonzo went on his own podcast and, without being asked to pick a side, picked one, while insisting the entire time that he wasn't picking one.
First and foremost, I want to say I love both my parents. But the situation that is put before y'all is not how it went down.
That but is doing a lot of work. Watch how fast the disclaimer collapses.
My mom didn't want to leave. She was quote unquote, damn near forced to leave. I helped her leave. I'm glad she left. She's in a great spot.
He helped her leave. Sit with that. Lonzo isn't a bystander in this story anymore. He's telling you on record that he was an active participant in getting his own mother out of the marriage. That's not a son staying neutral. That's a son who made a choice about which parent needed rescuing. And then he goes further. He goes after the specific myth that had been circulating. The idea that Tina left because Lavar got sick, because he lost his foot, because suddenly he wasn't the man he used to be.
She did not leave him because he lost his foot. That's a myth that was put out there.
He's not just correcting a rumor here. He's protecting his mother's reputation from the worst possible rid, that she abandoned a sick man. And to do that, he had to imply something else entirely, that whatever was actually going on in that marriage, it went deeper than health problems, and it went on long before the amputation. This is where the 2 competing versions of this story stop being about facts and start being about narrative control. Because here's the thing, Rhea, one of the creators covering this, actually caught Lonzo contradicting himself in real time. He says he doesn't want to get into details. And then 2 sentences later, he's telling you your mom was damn near forced to leave. That's not staying out of it. That's picking a side and calling it neutrality.
But I f***ed them both, and she was not wrong at all.
Not it's complicated, not there's fault on both sides, not wrong at all. That's the line that should stop you in your tracks, because a son who genuinely loved both parents equally, who genuinely didn't want to take sides, does not say his mother was not wrong at all in the breakup of a 30-year marriage. Nobody is never wrong. That's not balance, that's a verdict. Now flip to the other creator's take, because this is where it gets even messier. Because while one video is framing Lonzo as exposing his father's spin, the other video is framing the internet's reaction to Tina as a full-blown pile-on and pointing out something uncomfortable, that Lavar might actually be the one getting steamrolled here. Listen to how the comment section actually reacted when this first broke. All I got to say is no one really leaves anyone that treats them well and makes them feel good. That's one side. Instant benefit of the doubt for Tina. 0 interrogation. of what actually happened behind closed doors. But then there's this comment, and this is the one that should make you pause and reconsider everything you just heard from Lonzo. This man stayed by her side through her health crisis. He never left her. Then he suffered a life-changing amputation, and she's already talking about leaving to go do something more fun. If the roles were reversed, people would be outraged. Now hold that up against Lonzo's version. Two completely different moral universes. In one, Lavar is a man who nursed his wife back to health and got abandoned the second he needed support himself. In the other, Lavar is a man who forced his wife into a corner for so long that his own son had to step in and help her escape. Both cannot be fully true, and that's the part nobody wants to sit with. So which is it? Here's what actually lines up when you stack both transcripts side by side. Lavar's story requires you to believe that a 30-year marriage simply ran its course right after two of the most traumatic events a couple can go through, a stroke and an amputation. Convenient timing, sure, but not impossible. People do drift. But Lonzo's story requires something different. It requires you to believe that whatever was wrong in that marriage predates the stroke, predates the amputation, and had nothing to do with either. Because Lonzo isn't saying she got tired of being a caretaker. He's saying she was forced to leave, which implies she wanted out before any of the health stuff even started, and stayed anyway, possibly because she physically couldn't leave while recovering from a stroke. If that's true, Lavar's whole "I nursed her back to health and she still left me" narrative isn't the tragic betrayal it's being sold as. It's a man who kept a woman in a marriage she was already trying to exit, using her own health crisis as the reason she couldn't go. That is a completely different story than the one that went viral. And Lavar himself, without meaning to, gives you the exact mindset that would explain why Tina might have felt trapped rather than loved. Listen to how he talks about relationships in general in the same conversation where he was coaching a much younger man on how to treat women.
Let her do something. Bring something to the table. Let her do something. Don't give her everything. As long as she don't ask for nothing, then you give her a lot. But don't give her too much. Because then she's going to do something else, because that's going to fade out.
That's not a throwaway line. That's a philosophy. Control the resources. Don't give too much. Keep her wanting. If you're a 24-year-old streamer hearing relationship advice, that might sound like game. But if you're a woman who's been living inside that philosophy for 3 decades, damn near forced to leave suddenly reads very differently. And here's the final piece nobody's connecting. The "she was not wrong at all" line and the "she was forced to leave" line aren't just Lonzo defending his mom's decision. They're Lonzo quietly confirming that the dynamic Lavar just described, the "don't give her too much" philosophy, was the actual environment Tina was living in for years before anyone ever heard the word stroke. So when Lavar tells the internet we had our run, what he might actually be doing is rewriting 3 decades of control into a clean, sympathetic exit line. And the only person close enough to call it out without fully blowing up the family was his own son, half denying it the entire way through. Is Lonzo protecting his mother from a narrative that paints her as ungrateful? Almost certainly. Is he also, without realizing it, confirming that something in that marriage was a lot less beautiful in my eyes than Lavar wants you to believe? That's the part everyone's still arguing about in the comments. What do you think actually happened behind closed doors? Did Tina leave because of the stroke recovery and the amputation? Or was Lonzo telling the truth that she was trying to get out long before any of that? Drop your take in the comments, because this family clearly isn't done talking. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next update on this, and I'll see you in the next video.